Meet the freshest, most modern, most sophisticated new executive saloon to arrive in our market. This is the 2017 Volvo S90. The one you see here is in the range-topping inscription trim. Comes with a T6 drivetrain which includes all-wheel drive. Prices for this particular car start at 260,000 dirhams, which is $71,000. But for the range itself, they start from as little as 171,000 dirhams, which is $46,000. Pretty dull to look at, right? But actually very interesting. This 2-litre twin charge, which is supercharged and turbocharged, is an engine that we've seen before in the Volvo XC90. And like that one, this one produces 320 brake horsepower and 300 pounds-foot of torque. In this saloon body shape, that's good enough to give it a 0 to 100 acceleration time of 5.7 seconds, which is quicker than most hot hatches. But more impressive than that is the way that it looks. Sleek and suave, it reminds me of one of my favorite BMW 7 Series, the E38 from the late 90s. That's the one that Pierce Brosnan's Bond used in Tomorrow Never Dies. This thing, however, is not really a 7 Series rival. It's more a 5 Series rival, but perhaps more pertinently, a Mercedes E-Class rival, because that's also a brand new car that's arrived in the market as something of a technological tour de force with lots of driving and safety aids, which this thing has too, but we'll get to those in a minute. The reason this one looks bigger is because it is actually 4 centimeters longer, 4 centimeters wider, but 3 centimeters lower to give it that squatter and leaner look. At the front, you'll find these Thor hammer headlights that we've seen already in the XC90. And the grille on this thing is supposed to be reminiscent of the old Volvo P1800 Coupe, driven by not Bond, but Roger Moore's The Saint on the TV series. Inside it is super spacious, super comfortable, and of course, being a Volvo, it's super safe as well. It's also super high tech, and I can't wait to get inside and show you that stuff. But before we do that, a quick look at the boot. Now, just by pressing the button, it should open. It is of course powered, and there are 2 buttons here to close it, and this one also locks it. Being a Volvo, it needs to be spacious, and it is. It's very, very deep, very wide. There's also a little slot there in the middle where you can put your ski slopes and stuff like that if you go skiing. You've got 2 pockets on each side. You've got these 2 little hooks, one here for your shopping bags. There's a safety first aid kit in there as well. 12-volt power supply is also provided, and you have a little space under here, but that's mostly filled with a space saver spare wheel. So that's just about it. So I think it's time to have a look at the back seat. So I'm in the back of the Volvo now, and as you can see, I'm 6'2". This front seat is set for me, and actually there is plenty of room. I could do with maybe just a little bit more room for my tippy toes here, but otherwise I got no issue with knee room or headroom or elbow room. It's pretty spacious in here. In here we have a center armrest. The armrest has cup holders in here, a little tray, and even a little pocket in there. Plus, of course, that window into the boot that you get. Lots of cooling back here because you got vents here and you got 2 vents here as well. Plus you get this touchpad which you can use to control the AC in the back. You also get a power supply, and generally it's a very nice, very comfortable place to be, especially with this Napa rear leather upholstery. So we're now inside the front seat of the 2017 Volvo S90, and I wanted to show you a few things in this car because there is a lot to look at. This is a lot of technology, a lot of new kit, a lot of new gizmos in here. There's one thing here which you guys will probably already want to know about, I've probably already heard of, and that is of course pilot assist. That's actually operated by this button here. So if you look on the dash, it gives you the cruise control. Obviously we're not moving, so that's, and I'm not belted, so it won't let me do it, but there you see it's come up pilot assist, and we'll talk about that a little bit on the move, but that's where it's controlled from. Again, these are just little menu options here. So this side controls this screen, this side actually controls the stereo, and I'll come to that in a minute. The instrument panel is entirely digital now, and the center bit is configurable. You can have the stereo system or the navigation system. You can also change the way those things look. So if I come back to this control panel here for a minute, it's on, the AC is on in there, and in here somewhere we've got settings. Now this is the bit where it always gets very, very confusing. Actually, it might be here. Settings. Okay, so there we go. So we got my car, and we've got displays, and in the displays we've got themes, and in the themes you can see we've got all of these possibilities. And so if I go into chrome rings, you get chrome rings. If I get performance, it all goes red. Minimalistic, cuts everything down, and glass reduces the center bit. I can't really tell the difference. I like the red bit, so I keep it in performance. So that's essentially what that does. It's very clear, very straightforward. You won't be able to make it out, I don't think, but there is a heads-up display. I think I can just about make it up. And one of the great things about it is there's a full color heads-up display, and it also flashes up, and I'll show you that on the move, where there are cameras and stuff like that, so that's quite handy. Before we move on to that screen, just show you around here, there's a cubby box here with a USB plug, 2 USB plugs in there, which is quite handy, and an aux, so that's very, very good. You have a cup holders, 2 cup holders, another little tray and a power supply, and there's another little pocket over there. I'm supposed to give your coins and bits and pieces in, stuff like that. Proper shifter, so you actually notches all the way through, none of this electric stuff, so that's quite good. I like it like that. And down here you have, that's the auto holding parking brake, and here you to get the drive mode. So if I push that down, you'll see that comes up there. You get Eco, Comfort, Dynamic. This being a Volvo, let's leave it in Comfort. It's very nice to use this rotating knob, and again, if I just push it, then that will select that one. Over here, this is a starter, so it's stop start, just turn it around each way. Of course, it's keyless entry, keyless start, keys in my pocket. And there's your controls for the stereo as well, but these are about the only actual controls that you get. Everything else is pretty minimalist, pretty Spartan in here, and everything is operated through this 9-inch tablet-like screen supplanted between these air blade vents, which are, if you've noticed, vertical instead of the horizontal blades that we normally get in most cars like this one. So just a very, very quick look through. I did go through the system when we had the XC90. By the way, you get a little cloth that's here inside the glove compartment just to wipe this thing clean. Lovely bit of wood trim there, and that's proper wood trim, very, very nice upholstery and trim in this car. This is where you have all your settings, and there you can see all of the safety kit that it's got on it, including the camera. And you do also get 360 degree view around there, you see it, and stuff like that. So if I press that, then we're back on that screen, and you can basically operate all of these things from here. This is your main screen, and it shows you once it's connected, it will show you your phone and what you're listening to and all the music and stuff. Has an amazing Bowers and Wilkins sound system, which I think was absolutely tremendous. I've really enjoyed listening to it. And one more screen on this side again, you can just operate, sort of your infotainment systems there. It also has Apple CarPlay. If you plug in your iPhone in there, you can use Apple CarPlay. To use your AC, you just press that, and that comes up, and you have, of course, cooled and heated seats as well. So very, very easy and intuitive to use. Once you get used to it, you could probably almost do it blindfolded without thinking about it. So that's pretty much the interior of the car. The seat itself is also, if I press the little knob on the side, you can see these options come up on here, and I can operate the cushion, the side supports, and also the lumbar support in the back of the car as well. Overall, I gotta say, it's a very, very nice place to be, a very, very comfortable environment, and I think the next thing we need to do is take it for a little cruise. So, straight into drive. I'm gonna leave it in, actually let me just go into dynamic for this first bit, because we're just gonna go around the roundabout. I've got my settings in performance as I showed you before, because I quite like it like that. Now this car has a lot of safety features, as we saw from the screen earlier that we were looking at. So we are around the roundabout in dynamic. Now what I found in dynamic, and I did experiment with this a little bit earlier, so now we go through this here. I mean, the handling is pretty good. You know, it's an all-wheel drive, and it grips really well, and it goes around the corner without much issue. This is not a sports car, and it's not set up to be a sports saloon or a sports car. It doesn't purport to be one, but it does all right. It can do okay. And what I found with dynamic, and as you can see, it's just a little bit jittery now in this mode, but actually it settles the body really well. So in the normal mode, so we go back, because we're going out onto the highway now, so we go back into comfort. And in a normal scenario, you have a little bit of body float, a little bit of body sway, which is okay, it's very comfortable. If you want to start to chuck it around a little bit, it can get a little bit uncomfortable. In that case, you go into the dynamic setting, and the body control is just that much stiffer and that much harder, and it just sort of holds the whole thing quite flat. The ride is very good. Seems to cope very well with most surfaces, so no issues there. Of course, it's a very serene, very comfortable environment, very quiet, very subdued, and very, very pleasant. Visibility all around is great. There's this rimless mirror that we have here. It doesn't even show the little button for the self-dimming, although it does do self-dimming, and there's a compass in the middle of it. The heads-up display is really, really helpful. Now, a couple of things I want to show you here on the highway, because this is where this car lives best, around town and on highways, not necessarily darting about on mountain roads. It can do that, but that's not what it's designed for. So one thing is, for example, like, you know, it's fighting me on this lane change, you see. So first of all, if I try and cross this lane to the left here, it'll tug the wheel to tell me that I'm crossing the lane. That's what it will do first, and then a little bit more, then it will start to vibrate. However, it's a little bit intuitive. So if, for example, I deliberately go across the lane, it's not so intrusive. It kind of knows that I'm deliberately doing that. Most of the time though, it will give you that pressure from the steering wheel where it goes, hey, you're wandering out of your lane. So like I said, initially a tug on the wheel and then followed by a vibration. But you can, of course, override. You can go through all of that. It's got a lot of safety systems, as you'd expect on a Volvo. But the main things that you want to talk about, of course, it's got cross traffic alert. And again, if I go this way on the menu, I can see it's got cross traffic alert, got roadside information. So one of the reasons I put the camera here, and I hope that will be able to pick it up, I'm not sure. But for example, on my screen, both on the heads-up display in front of me and on the instrument panel down here, it's giving me information on there, such as the speed limit on this road, for example. And also, as we're driving along, a little sign will flash up on there and tell me that there's a camera coming, a speed camera, so that's quite handy. Now, I don't know where it gets that information from. I don't know how often that's updated or how reliable it is, but so far, I've never known it to miss. It has pretty much got most of the cameras that I have known on the route that I've been driving. So that's quite a handy thing. Now, in fact, there is a camera coming up, but it somehow, I think it actually knows. I'm guessing that it knows that the camera is actually facing the other way. Oh, no, it's come up. No, the camera is facing this way. It's come up 400 meters, 300 meters, 200 meters. There it is. And there we go, 100 meters. There's the camera. It's right there. 80 meters, 60 meters done, and the sign is there. Great. So that's quite a handy little thing. Not that I'm saying that you should speed and wait for the camera warning signs or anything like that, but it's a useful feature to have. Now, the main feature I wanted to show you was obviously the cruise control system. Press the little button here, and you can see, if you can see on this camera, the green steering wheel comes up. I hit go to the left, it gives me adaptive cruise control, and that's your straightforward, you know, it'll hold a certain speed and it will slow down and speed up according to the traffic. Go to the right and it will give me pilot assist. I click on pilot assist and I can set the speed. So this road is a 120 speed, I'm on 99. Let me just keep it at 105, shall we say. Right, so now we are cruising. Now I can actually take my hands off the steering wheel. How spooky and how scary and how disconcerting is that? But it can actually do it. The road is curving and the car is following the curve. Now, apply steering has come up on my heads-up display. It doesn't like you to not touch the steering wheel. So this isn't fully autonomous. This is driver assist. This is semi-autonomous. It knows what it's doing. It can see what it's doing, but it wants to make sure that you haven't gone off to check Facebook or fallen asleep or doing something else. So it does every 15 seconds or so, it tells you, put your hand back on the steering wheel. But as you can see, I'm not steering it. Again, it's now showing me on the heads-up display that there's a camera coming up. I am not steering it. It is steering itself. The road is slightly curved and it is following that curvature round. Again, apply steering. So it's a very beneficial system, for example, if you do long motorway stuff, or even in traffic, because in traffic it will actually even come to a complete halt behind other cars, and then it will move off again when those cars start moving. So it's really, really handy in that scenario. It's got a lot of collision detection systems, a lot of accident avoidance systems on there, so it will stop. So it's a great feature to have, you know, just to make sure that it keeps you out of trouble. But I do not recommend using it as an autonomous drive car. So for example, now we're coming to the end of this road, we're coming out to a roundabout. I don't think it will be able to cope with the roundabout, and at that point I do have to take over. We're coming up to a roundabout now, and Yeah, I know. I have to take over the car. It could not cope with that. So that's why you have to keep your wits around you. You have to stay alert. You cannot rely on the system by itself. So that's the pilot assist system on this car. Overall, like I said, good steering, light, easy to use, very comfortable car, very easy to drive, very smooth, a great cruiser, great place for the family, a great car to get around town in. Overall, it's just a really nice place to be. Somehow, the technology doesn't overshadow the driving experience like it does in some other cars that I've tested, where there's just been too much of an onslaught on technology and you just feel like giving up. You can, of course, go into this menu here and turn all the systems off. So then it's just you and the car, and you're driving it as you would a normal car. So the option is all there, and you can always override the systems. I like this car. I think it's really good. I think it's a really good entrant into the executive sector. Very promising. The engine itself, we haven't talked much about that, but again, put your foot down and it takes off. I mean, you know, from the get-go, it really, I mean, there you go. I'm pushed back into my seat. You know, pretty good acceleration for a 2-liter, but again, 320 horsepower and 300 pounds for the torque. So very, very good indeed. Fantastically clever car, fantastically well thought out, brilliantly delivered, feels very modern, feels very futuristic, feels very fresh. Very, very nice place to be. There you go. That's our verdict on the Volvo S90. Read the full review on motoringme.com. Do please find us on all of the social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Just search for Motoring Middle East and you'll find us. Same goes for YouTube, and if you're watching this on YouTube, then please do like, share and subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. Please also leave some comments and tell us what you think of the car or what you think of this video as well. Thanks so much for watching. You can also follow me as well on my Instagram account and on my Snapchat. It's Shahzad Sheikh for Instagram and Shahzad_Sheikh for Snapchat. So until the next one,